Welcome everyone to this explainer on the foundational methodology of Philippine history. Now today we're definitely not just going to be memorizing dates and names. We're going to learn how to actually think like historians, how to uncover the truth about our past, and, discover why that past matters so deeply to our present.
Okay, our core objective today is really all about critical analysis. We need to figure out how to rigorously evaluate historical sources for credibility, authenticity, and relevance. And this isn't just about reading textbooks, right? It's about developing a really sharp analytical mindset that you're going to use in practically every aspect of your professional and daily life.
So here's our academic roadmap for today. We'll be covering the meaning of history, primary versus secondary sources, external and internal criticism, historical repositories, and finally, lesson integration.
Let's jump right into Section 1, the meaning and relevance of history.
There's this really beautiful contrast between the traditional Western concept of history and our own Filipino framework. The root word historia traditionally just means a simple inquiry or investigation into the past. But our Filipino translation, kasaysayan, well, it offers so much more depth. It actually comes from two words, saysay, which means relevance or meaning, and salaysay, which means narrative. So in the Philippine context, history is never just a record of dead facts. It's a highly meaningful narrative. It literally has to have relevance.
The absolutely crucial point here is this. We are not just studying the past. We are studying what the past means to our present. Really understanding history is essential for building our national identity, fostering a genuine love for our culture, and ultimately making sense of contemporary Philippine society. It's what gives us the saysay, the meaning, to navigate our modern world.
Moving right along to Section 2, primary versus secondary sources.
A primary source is basically your most direct, completely unfiltered link to history. We're talking about eyewitness accounts, original documents, and contemporaneous records that were actually created at the exact time a historical event occurred. Think of Antonio Pigafetta's first voyage around the world, which gives us a literal European eyewitness account of that 1521 expedition, or the actual minutes of the Katipunan, which gives us the raw, unfiltered inner workings of the Philippine Revolution.
Now this brilliantly illustrates the difference. General Emilio Aguinaldo's Mga Gunitan in Himagsikan is a classic primary source. It's a first-hand eyewitness memoir written by someone who directly participated in the revolution. On the flip side, Theodoro Agoncillo's History of the Filipino People is a secondary source. Agoncillo wasn't actually at the revolution, right? He's providing a later scholarly interpretation based on primary evidence. Both of these are incredibly valuable, but they serve completely different methodological purposes for us.
Let's test this concept with a quick modern scenario just to make sure we've really got it. If someone tweets about a rally they're currently attending, is that a primary or secondary source? Well, that live tweet is indeed a primary source because it's a contemporaneous eyewitness account. Conversely, if a journalist writes a massive book about that same rally, say 10 years later, gathering up old tweets, interviews, and news clips, they are creating a secondary source. The ultimate defining factor here is proximity to the actual event. Okay, Section 3, External and Internal Criticism. Let's dive into external criticism. Think of this as your absolute first line of defense as a historian. External criticism is simply the process of verifying the physical authenticity of a historical document. Because, before we even care about what a document actually says, we have to prove that the physical object itself isn't just an outright forgery.
To pull this off, historians act almost like forensic scientists. They check the physical elements. Like, is the paper quality accurate for that specific time period? Was this specific type of ink even invented yet? Does the language, the terminology, and the handwriting style actually match the era? A classic Philippine example of this in action is the Code of Calentao. For decades, it was taught as this ancient pre-colonial legal code. But by scientifically examining physical characteristics and spotting linguistic anomalies, historians successfully proved it did not match 15th century realities at all. It was, in fact, a complete 20th century hoax. So external criticism caught the fraud.
Now, once a document actually passes that physical test of authenticity, we move to the next layer. We have to apply internal criticism. This process evaluates the credibility, the author's background, and the real intent behind the document's content. So if external criticism asks, is this document real? Internal criticism asks, is the author actually telling the truth?
This basically means we need to carefully scrutinize motives. For instance, when analyzing the Philippine-American War, a historian applying internal criticism would definitely note the inherent American military perspective found in James Blunt's American occupation of the Philippines. And then, they would contrast that by evaluating the completely distinct motives and viewpoints found in Filipino revolutionary memoirs from that exact same period. Ultimately, understanding an author's background and their intent is just as important as reading their actual words.
Next up is Section 4, Repositories of Primary Sources. Our major national repositories house some truly incredible collections. For example, if you're researching Spanish colonial local governments, you'd head straight to the Philippine National Archives to access the Erección de Pueblos. If you're looking for post-war local histories, the National Library of the Philippines houses the historical data papers. And for ancient pre-colonial evidence, you'd go to the National Museum, which safeguards priceless artifacts like the ones found in the Taban Caves.
Within these critical institutions, historians get to analyze amazingly diverse forms of evidence. Primary sources aren't just old, dusty books, They include written correspondence like diaries and letters, oral histories and recorded interviews, physical artifacts, and even highly expressive visual materials like the political cartoons from the American era, which give us a really vivid snapshot of public sentiment from over a century ago.
All right, bringing it all together in Section 5, Lesson Summary and Integration.
So, the crucial takeaway here for your own professional competencies is really mastering this precise 4-step analytical framework. Step 1, locate your primary evidence in the proper repositories. Step 2, accurately distinguish those primary accounts from any secondary interpretations. Step 3, apply external criticism to ensure physical authenticity. And finally, Step 4, apply internal criticism to thoroughly evaluate the author's credibility and intent. Honestly, this is exactly how real history is written and validated. And I'll leave you with this final kind of provocative thought. We live in an era that is completely overflowing with information. And let's be honest, much of it is unverified. Think about the historical fake news or those misleading posts you probably scroll past on social media every single day. How are you going to apply these rigorous academic tools, your brand new skills in external and internal criticism, to seek out the truth, reject disinformation, and navigate your modern daily life as a responsible, critically thinking citizen? Thank you so much for exploring this fascinating methodology with me today. Keep asking those hard questions and definitely keep seeking the say in your history.